歡迎大家出席今日嘅記者會。咁或者我首先介紹下今日嘅講者啦，或者由大家嘅左手邊開始嚇。咁首先係香港鐵路有限公司車務營運總管黃坤偉先生。咁跟住係警察公共關係科高級警司余海軍女士嚇。跟住消防處高級助理救護總長羅信堂先生。另外係醫院管理局高級行政經理龔澤文先生。咁而家我哋首先請警察公共關係科余海軍女士同我哋發言。
各位，相信大家都有留意到，近來網上流傳一則謠言，話8月31日喺太子站內有發生示威人士被毆打致死。特區政府、警方、港鐵公司同唔同嘅部門都先後發布數次嘅新聞公佈，澄清當晚並沒有發生相關嘅致命事件。但係仍然有一部分嘅人喺網上散佈懷有惡意嘅謠言，惡意中傷唔同嘅部門，嚴重分化社會。我哋認為呢個指控嘅性質係非常之嚴重，而公眾亦因此產生關注。所以我哋今日有消防、醫管局同埋港鐵公司嘅代表一齊喺呢一度向大家再次澄清，以正視聽。首先會由我簡單講講當日嘅經過。8月31日晚上，有過百名嘅示威者喺旺角區違法堵路、大肆破壞。當晚嘅10點鐘左右，激進嘅示威者湧入旺角站，打爛同埋塗污售票機、閉路電視。港鐵公司因此報警，請求警方協助。當時現場激進嘅示威者用錘仔、硬物打爛大堂嘅閉路電視鏡頭，擊碎車站控制室嘅玻璃，並試圖闖入去。警方增援到場之後，激進嘅示威者湧到月台，乘坐列車向太子方向逃去。其後警方收到大量嘅報案，指喺太子地鐵站內有市民互相打鬥，再次破壞站內嘅設施。警方隨即接報到場，採取行動制止激進暴力嘅行為。行動之中，我哋喺太子站一共拘捕咗53人，當中7個人係需要送院嘅。因應現場風險嘅評估同埋與港鐵公司嘅協調，安排咗一架特別號嘅列車，由太子站運送傷者前往荔枝角站。其後由9救護車分別送往明愛醫院同埋瑪嘉烈醫院治理。警方必須指出，由於太子站附近有大量激進嘅示威者違法堵路、叫囂，而且掘起大量嘅磚頭，對於現場嘅警務人員、醫護人員、記者同埋市民都造成極大嘅威脅。基於安全嘅考慮，我哋認為傷者同埋救護人員不宜從呢一個站離開，因此由港鐵安排特別嘅列車，讓救護嘅指揮官同埋救護嘅人員護送傷者到荔枝角站。我哋留意到網上除咗流傳當晚有人被人打死，更有人聲稱認識所謂嘅死者。
It was a huge risk, and as a result of such an assessment, we believe that the rescue personnel as well as the injured persons should not be leaving from that exit. And the commander as well as the ombudsman accompanied the injured to Lai Chi Kok. There is a rumor saying that people were beaten to death, and there were people claiming that they are acquainted with the deceased, and somebody claiming to be relatives of the deceased even reported to the police. But we have made inquiries with the Mount Court Police Station. So far, we haven't actually received such reports. We have also checked all the records from our missing persons section at the headquarters. So far, we haven't received any reports about missing persons in relation to the 31st of August. The police would like to say once again, in relation to the malicious rumors spread online, which is having an effect of dividing the society, should be seriously reprimanded. Thank you. Next, we would like to give the floor to Mr. Samuel Wong. The MTRCL is aware that the public are very concerned about what happened on the 31st of August at Prince Edward Station. We have just released a press release with some images captured from the CCTV, hoping that we can help you to understand what happened on that night. On the evening of the 31st of August, our colleagues received news that on platform 3 of Prince Edward Station, that is the one heading to Tukenang, there was a dispute among the passengers. The train doors could not be closed despite the attempts. Therefore, we reported to the police for assistance. And the chaos continued, and then there was smoke. We found that smoke was coming out from the train car, and then a large number of the passenger alarm devices were activated. For the sake of safety, at 10:53 that night, we activated the evacuation procedures. Later on, the police came into the station to enforce the law. In relation to the CCTV footage, on that night at Prince Edward Station, 3 CCTV cameras were defaced and damaged. 2 on platform 4. Platform 4 from Chun Wan to the Central. That's the platform 4. Therefore, our footage record is not complete. But I do understand that many people are concerned about the number of people injured, and there are different versions, and we are fully aware of the concern. We tried hard to get hold of the footage and try to gather together the information. As a result, 7 injured persons were sent to hospital from Lai Chi Kok Station, and another 3 were sent to hospital from Yau Ma Tei Station. There is a rumor saying that someone died at the Prince Edward Station. According to our station records, on that night, there was no report of fatality. We understand that relevant departments had earlier on clarified, saying that as to what happened on that night at Prince Edward Station, there was no case of fatality. We have noticed that there is a public call for the release of the footage involved. I want to say once again, as to the usage of the footage, we have stringent guidelines to follow. We can only provide it to authorized persons for their inspection after going through the relevant procedures. Well, for the relevant footage, it may have to be reviewed for the purpose of investigation, and therefore the footage will be kept for 3 years. And in fact, such a practice or such a decision has been made after making reference to the guidelines of the Privacy Commissioner for Personal Data. Relevant footage recorded at Prince Edward Station and other relevant stations on 31st of August will be kept for 3 years. Thank you. Next, Mr. Low from the FSD. Friends of the media, good afternoon.
The FSD on 11:05 have received report that the Prince Edward Station there were multiple injuries, and the first ambulance arrived on 11:17 at the scene. That the ambulance incident officer and the police and the MTRCL staff have gone through coordination. At around 11:30, and they enter the Edward Station by exit B1, and the other ambulance men have set up a large-scale charge station at the ground level exit. And when the incident officer entered the station, he found there are dozens of members of the public, and there were also policemen and firemen. It was very chaotic, and the ambulance incident officer, when assessing the number of injuries, the injured not only scattered on different locations around the platform, and they also shift the locations from time to time, which posed a challenge to the actual counting. After counting, the incident officer estimated there were around 10 injured. Thus, he reported to the FSD control center to report to ask for more backup. And when the ambulancemen back up entered through exit E into the station and gave some initial treatment and triage and concentrate them in one spot for treatment. The incident officer once again recounted the number of injuries and confirmed there were a total of 7 of those who need to be hospitalized. Thus, once again, he updated the number of injury to the communications control center. There are 3 of the severely injured, 2 of them are normal injuries, and 2 of them lightly injured. Out of the 7, under the escort of the ambulancemen, using a special passenger train, they went to the Lachikok station, where they were picked up by ambulance to Caritas and Princess Margaret Hospital. I would like to provide more information. For the past period, this department have been accurately disclosing to the media the number of injuries at the Prince Edward Station. In some cases, the relevant members of the public were not injured, and after initial examination and treatment, they would not require the FSD service. Thus, this department did not include those cases into the number of injuries at the Prince Edward's large-scale incident. And from the MTRCL information provided, at around 11:31, some of the ambulancemen have bring members of the public out of the station. I would like to provide more information on that. The FSD at around 10:56 had received a report claiming that Prince Edward Station, there were members of the public would require an emergency ambulance call. At around 11:20, they entered the station through exit E. And 11:24, they managed to contact this frightened citizen. After initial examination, he said our service were not required. Thus, the ambulanceman at around 11:31, he was escorted out of the station from exit E by ambulancemen. I would like to show you a picture to illustrate what happened. The members of the public was escorted by our ambulancemen through exit E. And for the large-scale incident, an officer, he entered the station through exit B onto the platforms. And for the exit E and B, there are quite a few hundred meters apart, where the timing were close. Thus, the incident officer had never met that citizen concerned. Thus, we found for this case, since the citizen concerned was not injured and did not require our services, thus we did not include it into our count of the Prince Edward Station large-scale injuries. Thus, the number of injuries at Prince Edward Station by the FSD has stayed at 7. Our department reiterate is based on ground staff observation and report to the press accurately on the information related to the incident. Well, now we have Mr. Andy Kong of the Hospital Authority. Good afternoon. On behalf of HA, I would like to supplement information and update you on the latest on the Prince Edward incident. On August 31st, as of the morning of 2nd of September, there are 46 persons related to the very public events to the various A&E departments, which included 35 men and 11 females. And based on the information provided by them and on A&E records, there were 19 would need to be hospitalized for treatment, out of which 5 of those were in serious condition, 14 of those in stable condition, and the rest, after treatment, they were discharged. The number of injuries received by HA, have since all been discharged, and there were no deaths. That's all for me. Thank you all. We're now open for the questions, and please state the name of the media represent. Your name. This lady. HKO1. The MTR CL have finally disclosed the screen caps and the timeline, but a lot of accounts claim that there were deaths at the station, and the relevant departments will see this as a serious accusation. Why do you release the CCTV footage? We seem to give the timeline and the screen cap will be adequate. And the ambulancemen have entered the station by 11:30, but it's only after 1 they managed to successfully take the train to take the injured to the hospital. Why the police would took 2 hours in allowing the injured to be sent to the hospital? Will you be delaying the rescue? The public were also concerned that the closure of Prince Edward lasted for 2 days. Why the station was closed for too long, and what had been done inside the station? The MTRC explained that the police would need to collect evidence, but only the Prince Edward station took too long. But at the Yuen Long station, it would also involve a large number of casualties. Why it didn't close as long? Your first question on CCTV, we understood the public concern. The CCTV footage also involve privacy issues. We need to make a balance between the public eagerness to understand and the concern of releasing of privacy information. So we have released a news release today, which include a number of screen caps, which we check through the relevant footage, and also deliver you a clear timeline to put the event together. All our CC footage for Prince Edward Station and those Marathon Station will be kept for 3 years. That we have been informed you before. As for the reopening of Prince Edward Station, on that night, the Prince Edward Station, the key concern was safety. On that night, there were various facilities damaged at that station that night. To reopen the station, we first need to confirm that this safety equipment or the overall environment safety to be assured before they can be opened. Therefore, we devoted some time on that day and the day afterwards to repair some facilities. When we were confident that it can operate safely, and we reopened the station the next day. On that day, besides Prince Edward, there were other stations would need to undergo such work, including Kowloon Bay and Mong Kok. So therefore, we opened Kowloon Bay later the next day. It was purely because we need to ensure that the station can be operating safely and need to do the relevant repairs, which took time. As for your question on the injured at the station, On the timeline, at around 10 o'clock, we received a 999 call claiming at the Mong Kok station there were a large number of crowds destroying the ticket selling machine and the CCTV cameras. At around 10:09, the MTR have informed police there were violence incidents took place. Therefore, some police officers had arrived. Subsequently, when we arrived at the scene, we found there were over 50 radical protesters have been smashing the glass at the control room. Therefore, when we asked for backup, we received a large number of 999 calls and claiming that on the platform there were violence occurring. When our backup arrived, a large number of violent protesters have charged down to the Mong Kok station and board a train to Prince Edward direction. And some of our colleagues arrived at Prince Edward station and where there were casualties at the station. At around 11, the ambulance had arrived at Prince Edward station.
At 11:17 hours, ambulance arrived. At 11:30, they successfully entered the platform. At that time, we were not able to send the injured immediately to the hospitals, but then the ambulancemen were able to attend to the injured on the platform. So they provided first aid to the injured. At that time, at the ground level, according to our assessment, there were about 300 to 400 rioters. They were taking up the bricks, they were violent, they were engaged in violent acts. Well, for the people arrested, whether they have been injured or not, we have to give first priority to their safety. Therefore, we talked to the MTR, we talked to the medical staff. We arrived at the conclusion that it's best to send the injured to the Nai-Chi-Kok station and then for onward transmission to the hospitals. Why it took you 2 hours? There were 3 seriously injured. Was it appropriate to send them 2 hours later to the hospital? Well, let me reiterate. In fact, they were given first aid. They were attended to. They were given first aid. Please also consider what happened at that time. I think you saw it clearly from the live broadcast. It was very chaotic at that time, and then within the Prince Edward MTR station, 53 persons were arrested. So within this station, we had to sort of triage them, and we have to carry out some investigative work. In addition, together with the MTRCL and the ombudsman, we had to devise the best plan. That is, we have to send the injured to hospitals using the safest method. The next one, the lady over there in white T-shirt. I'm from Stan News. MTRCL, in your press release, you have mentioned that within the Prince Edward station, there were 3 CCTV cameras damaged, but then you only mentioned 2 on the platform heading towards the central. What about the other 2? And I want to know when was the footage stopped? And then you said that you would keep the footage. Which are the stations involved? Well, for the platform level cameras, for platform 3 and platform 4, there were 2. 2 on platform 4 towards the central at 10:52 and at 10:53. Well, that's the time shown on the last bit of the footage. As to the other CCTV camera, it wasn't on this level. Yes, the gentleman over there. Sorry, speaker was off mic. Well, I think you have read from our press release. We have the screen captures from Yamate Station as well as the Nai-Chi-Kok Station. We have kept the footage. Well, we'll also check which stations were involved in the Prince Edward Station incident on the 31st of August, and we'll keep them. Oriental Daily. Police went inside the Prince Edward Station to enforce the law. Most of the officers were on Platform 4. What about Platform 3? Did you enforce the law there? Did you make any arrests? And then on that day, you didn't allow the media to cover the event. Have you learned a lesson so that the media would be allowed to remain on the platform to cover the event so that things would be clearer? And then at 10:50, the train driver would like to train the service, but then for the other one, it stopped on the platform. And at 10:53, there was emergency. You didn't detrain them, but there were still commuters on board. So was it right for you not to detrain because law enforcement agencies came in to enforce the law? And then riot police enforced the law, and then you allowed the train to leave instead of keeping the train at the platform so as to facilitate the basic work of gathering evidence. Well, did you say that you want to know whether someone was arrested at Platform 3? Yes, that's my question. It's difficult to clarify or to say whether we arrested someone at Platform 3 or at Platform 4. In any event, 53 were arrested. At the time we set up the police cordon line, we would like to repeat this point. We respect press freedom, we respect your reporting work, but then please recall the crime taking place on the 31st of August. It was quite serious. And then at the crime scene, we must set up the cordon line because at the time we had to carry out criminal investigation. We had to collect evidence. In fact, this is what we have been doing all the time. There isn't anything special. Usually at a crime scene, we would cordon off the other people. And in our previous operations, when we set up our cordon line, we would set up the scope, we would define the scope, and we would define the location. It will be based on the number of people arrested, the consideration to collect evidence, as well as the safety of all people around. Well, at that time, it was very chaotic, and we were worried that the reporters might have their safety jeopardized. So setting up the cordon line would safeguard the interests of both the reporters as well as the safety of the others. For Prince Edward Station, 53 persons were arrested. We had to set up a place to deal with the offenders temporarily. We had to take records of the personal data of those arrested, and in fact it was a large-scale arrest operation. So we believe that at that time it was not appropriate for reporting work. I think the MTRCL broadcast continuously to ask everybody to leave, including the reporters. MTR staff members also asked reporters. The next question. Back to the two trains. First of all, the one at Platform 3. We give utmost priority to safety. Passenger safety on board our trains is important for us. First of all, the train at Platform 3, if you have read our press release, well, at the time, there was a moment that smoke was detected. So as a result of that, there was a decision to detrain the service. For the train at Platform 4, well, for passengers on board a train car, if we are able to take them safely to the following station, and if the train doors can be closed, we will take the passengers to the station. Safety would be the most important consideration. That is whether we can take the train safely to the next station. The next question, the one in black. Stand News. Yes, Mr. Low. For the FSD, Well, in fact, the public trusts you a lot. And what about the person sent there to carry out an assessment? In what capacity? The one in charge of the ambulance depot or what? Now, for people sent by you there to carry out an assessment, now you're saying that he made a mistake in counting the number of injured persons. So how can you convince us that we can still have trust in him? Please also fact-check this point. There were 6 injured who were critical. Now you say that it's 3. I don't think they were the 3 who didn't need medical treatment. It was said that you made a change upon the recommendation of the police. Can you confirm this? Someone lost consciousness on the platform. Anyone of them in that condition? Would you clarify that? Organization are you from? Stand News. Thank you for your question. And you said that the public have trust in the FSD. Thank you for making this point. Well, the FSD always have the mission of helping the injured and rescuing those who are in need. In relation to the question you asked, I would like to answer them one by one. First of all, there were a large number of people injured at Prince Edward Station. For the 7 injured that we attended to, all of them were conscious. No one was unconscious. That's the first point. Second, our colleague carried out an assessment. He was on the site, but he did encounter some difficulties. First of all, the injured persons were at different places on the platform. Moreover, their locations had shifted. And then for their clothing, they were quite similar. Therefore, when our colleague carried out the assessment, it was possible that there was double counting or repeat counting. And as a result, his initial assessment was that there were 10 injured. But then later on, when our ambulance commander carried out an assessment, there was a final confirmation. That's because we gathered together all the injured and we gave them initial treatment, and then we assessed how many of them would need our service.
And for the MLTs and its Sim platform station, you have dealt with the past, and this had never occurred before. And for you to mark the injury, you wouldn't just use the naked eye. You could mark the injured locations and the dressing and other characteristics. How can you convince the public that why this change in practice? Thank you for the question. In our routine handling of large-scale emergencies, when our colleagues were doing an on-site assessment, will take a conservative approach. When we see the injured would require our ambulance services, they will usually inform the command center of the actual situation, and as for the exact number of backups. So in our assessment, we would, let's say have an example. Some of the injured may have short breaths, and yet we'll define them as serious cases requiring ambulance services. Going back to your question, we deal with large-scale casualty incidents. It might happen that in our initial assessment may be different from the final confirmation after rendering an initial treatment. when there are large scale of casualties or large scale emergencies occur, this is not rare.
不如俾下一位同事問啦先，我俾翻頭先黑色衫嗰位女士問。
Okay, let the lady in black can have the turn. Cable TV. For MTRCL, just now Mr. Wan explained that due to privacy concern, he decided not to disclose this CCTV footage. And now the 3 hours of CCTV footage have only released 13 screen caps. Most would say this doesn't explain anything. If disclosing the package and give the mosaic to the faces or blurring the faces, wouldn't that bypass the privacy concerns? And a lot of people are concerned when the riot police enter the station, especially what had been done inside the trains and at the platform level. And based on your screen caps on 10:56, after riot police collapsed, the next screen cap is already been 8 minutes afterwards and have irrelevant to the actions of riot police. So what were the operation details? Now, what did the screen cap show? Why you chose not to disclose them? Because the public are very concerned, especially claim the rumors there were deaths. So what were the operational details? And also for the police, so it was said that of the 53 arrests, which includes 7, how of them have been charged and under what charges, and how many of them will be released unconditionally, especially those 7 have all been charged? The officer will be and we start from today for FSD and MTRCL. And MTRCL today on 11:20, the first batch of ambulancemen entered station through exit E. And yesterday, the FSD and the opening remarks of FSD claimed that the first ambulance arrived at 11:30. For this such discrepancies, which see more confusion for the public, despite multiple verifications, and claimed that at 11:30 first ambulance and claimed at 11:20 there were first batch of ambulancemen entered through exit E with an injured, and yet it wasn't counted. And now the CCTV footage shows that 11:30 and exit B, it seems that and yet it must be the other screen cap showing that's not out of order. So what is really going on? Let me first answer the question on MTRCL. On privacy concerns, this is a public station, and there are different passengers and citizens. And the CCTV involve the privacy of lots of people, so we have to be very careful. Besides the press release and the screen caps, we also have looked at the timeline of the screen caps so as to comprehensively present to the public, which we see as vital. And the platform at the trains with a certain time period and how do they come about. While compiling this information, we try to hope you understand for platform 4 the 2 cameras after 10:52 and 3 the image was gone. We try to see if other piece of information to piece together the timeline. And the CCTV, well, we couldn't see anything on platform 4. And now that the timeline released it, so for the injured, when to leave and how to leave the station, whether from Yamate or to Lachiko, we can give you the picture clearly and to show you the number of injured. So you claim it's okay to blur your faces, but why not just release the footage? So that means that blurring the faces cannot get around the privacy issues. We understand the public concern and eagerness to know more. Despite privacy concerns, we try to strike a balance to release some screen caps. Most importantly, we use the screen caps to illustrate the authenticity of the timeline. So that's after we have made such a balance. Let us reiterate that all the footages will be kept for 3 years. So they are still here, I would say. Let me answer your question on the number of arrests. On August 31st, we arrested a number of 63, which included 54 men, 9 women from 13 to 36 years old. At the scene, we found petrol bombs, facial masks, laser pointers, catapults, and a facial mask. We have charged 2 of those, and one of them had applied for a juvenile protection order, and the rest of them have been released on bail. As for the issuing of police batons, this press con is mainly for the August 31st. And 2 to 3 hours later, we shall have the 4 o'clock police force conference. I hope that you can save that question for the police media briefing.
What about the other questions? Please answer them as well. Yes, the confusion about the arrival of the ambulance car. You said it was 11:30. Now you say that at 11:20, ambulance went inside at another exit. So would you agree that you are only confusing us more? And then MTR, again, the riot police. We want to know what the riot police did on the platform. What about the 8-minute footage involved? And you still failed to answer why you were able to give us the screen captures but not the footage itself. Can you not also blur the faces? Well, in relation to the figures, we've always been telling you the true figures. In relation to the large number of injured persons at Prince Edward Station, it was according to information reported to us from the frontline officers and according to our records. And we have released the information to the media accordingly. As to your question, well, all along for the Prince Edward Station, the number of injured was always 7 as confirmed by us. Just now, I have spent some time to give you the facts. According to the screen captures of the MTR, there was 1 citizen. Well, it was before the incident that he had already asked for emergency assistance. We went there, we provided treatment, and eventually this citizen was confirmed as not having been injured, and the citizen did not require our ambulance service. And therefore, he called for our assistance, but we did not include it in the number of people involved in the Prince Edward Station. So we have been giving you the true figures, and in fact there's no confusion at all. Next question. What about the 8 minutes? What happened during those 8 minutes on the platform? As I have said, there were 2 CCTV cameras damaged, and they were on platform 4. When our colleagues watched the footage of the platform CCTV, well, there were some sort of limitations. Usually it's for monitoring the operation and for crowd control. Therefore, we cannot cover each and every corner. On that night, for the camera damage on platform 4, we were only given a very limited view.
Showing police attacking suspects and also passengers inside the station without any warnings. It's a breach of police legislation about police use of force on suspects. How do you explain this? And also about the delayed treatment to protesters. Was it a deliberate attempt to get confession from the protesters? Did the police make any statement inside the Prince Edward Station? Also, the third question is, it seems that the police It seems that the public are now losing confidence in the police, which caused the political crisis to escalate. Would the police force review the use of force on protesters?
Okay, sorry, which organization?
SMP.
First of all, definitely disagree with such allegations. Our enforcement action only targets on offenders. From the news footage, as you can see, there are many ordinary citizens who were able to leave without being stopped and searched by our officers. Actually, we just based it on reasonable suspicions. When our officers were handling the case, they saw some people acting suspiciously, including running away and hiding behind the umbrellas. Our officers conduct observations and exercise professional judgment to distinguish the offenders as seen. Indeed, some of the suspicious people attack our officers with umbrellas. This constitutes assaulting police officers. In face of such violence, we must use appropriate force to control the situation. Thank you.
好，最後3條問題好嗎？呢位。
Last 3 questions. The gentleman over here.
Hey, I have 2 questions. The first one, the MTR has decided to release only images of the CCTV footage instead of releasing the raw footage. I mean, how can people have trust on you that there's actually no cover-up of what happened that night? I mean, people think, is the government trying to hide something? And also why privacy can override public interest in design when the authorities decide not to release the raw footage. And my second question is it even possible to cover up deaths in Hong Kong by the government? Thank you.
Thanks for your question. Actually, we understand that the public would like to know more information about that incident in Prince Edward Station in the 31st of August. And at the same time, there are also concerns about the privacy issues because there are privacy data contained in the CCTV footage which affects many traveling public in the system. So we strike the balance between the two, and we therefore try our best to take out from the CCTV footage and work out our time sequence, and with those time-stamped screen capture, which we would like the public to understand and to address their concern on more information about the incident. And this is the one. And the second is during the incident, actually, 2 CCTV cameras were already destroyed by people at 10:52 and 10:53, which actually limit our coverage on the platform which the incident happens. So we did our best to take out available information, and we hope that the time sequence we work out would give the public a better picture to understand the whole incident.
Maybe I'll supplement the second question. Well, actually, there's a wide circulated online rumor alleging that the violence incidents in Prince Edward MTR station has resulted in death. The Hong Kong government, MTR corporations, and different departments have clarified repeatedly. It is totally false. There is certainly no death. Certain people spread such malicious comments to slander the government and stir up grievances in society. Such accusation is very serious and has aroused much public concern. That's why today we, along representatives from Fire Service Department, Hospital Authority, and MTRC, We must reiterate that such rumor is certainly false and ungrounded. Thank you.
好，下一條問題，呢位小姐。
And next question.
Okay, I would like to first ask from TVB Pearl. First, ask the MTR. You just said that you keep on stressing that passenger safety is the first priority concern, but you didn't explain why there's still a 7-8 minutes footage missing in the screen caps. So can you tell us if there's any other undamaged CCTV or inside train compartments that could actually be released and to actually address public concerns on what happened in those missing footage? Because at that night, it was between 10:59 after your screen cap at 10:56, where police were seen inside train compartments carrying duties or actually attacking passengers. And also to Fire Service Department, can you explain why is there a difference between the injuries reported and the number you said that there are people who were said to be not needing assistance from you? Can you tell us why there's a difference between the injuries reported?
Quick answer to the question on CCTV footage record on train. And now our urban line trains, we do not have the video recording function, CCTV recording function on those trains. So we do not possess the CCTV record of those happening on train.
You said 2 were damaged. What about others?
Yeah, as you can see from the screen or footage capture, we did take out those footage from the undamaged CCTV camera on the platform. As you can see, there are screen capture or footage capture on platform 3, as well as some in the middle of the concourse, in the middle of the platform between the 2 platforms. We did try our best to take out those footage from those undamaged cameras.
Well, thank you for the question about the number of casualties in this multiple casualty incident. I would like to supply that when the ambulance incident officer entered the station, there were dozens of people there, other than police officers and firefighters. The situation was chaotic at that time. The ambulance incident officer tried to assess the number of injured persons, but found that they were at different locations of the platform, which also changed from time to time, making it rather difficult to conduct head count. After preliminary checking, the ambulance incident officer estimated that there were 10 injured persons at the scene. He then reported such findings to the Fire Services Communication Center for mobilizing reinforcement. The ambulance personnel who arrived at Prince Edward MTR station at a later time for reinforcement entered the station through another entrance where an elevator was available. They provided initial treatment to the injured person who were then triaged and assembled at a designated location. At this point, the ambulance incident officer conducted another head count of casualties and confirmed that there were a total of 7 injured persons at the scene that need to be conveyed to hospital for treatment. And then the ambulance incident officer report this information to the FSCC again. In actual fact, during the handling process of the major multiple casualty incident, it is not uncommon that our ambulance incident officer may encounter difficulty in estimating the number of casualties. Taking a simple example, some people in the incident may indicate the need for ambulance service at the initial stage. But after the initial treatment and assessment, that people may indicate no ambulance service is required. So that's why it is not uncommon in handling multiple casualty incident. There may be a difference between the number of casualties in the initial assessment and the final assessment.
好，綠色衫嗰位男士。
The gentleman in green.
我是
I'm from CCTV. Want to ask because just now I noticed that electoral
我们想知道警方是如何定义这样的一些行为，是否会对这样的消息来源进行追查，会如何
trace such sources
这些恶意消息的这些人的如何对待他们
and how do you pursue such persons? And also ask the police, will you see that spreading such sensitive or malicious rumors media platform will need to be held accountable?
好嗱，咁其實大家都即係留意到啦，因為呢個831事件咧，網上的確咧係不斷咧，仲有一個傳言咧，就係話
there were
太子站
persistent
裏邊
rumors that in Prince Edward
係有
Station
人死亡嘅，因為831呢
and
個
there
事件。
were deaths.
咁我哋亦都係今次嘅發佈會咧，亦都係大
And
家
this
坐喺度
media
咧，
briefing
就會澄清呢樣嘢啦。咁
was
另外
aimed to
咧喺網
clarifying
上嘅
such
傳言咧，
rumors.
其實我哋都係會咧
And for the online
我哋
rumors
嘅網絡嘅安全嘅調查科咧，其實亦都
as
會
our
係跟進呢一個嘅情況。
TSB will follow up.
最後一條問題啦，我諗。
Last question.
係啦，為灰色衫啦。
唔該。你好，香港電台都想問翻咧，即係消防嗰邊想了解翻有個説法就係話咧，當時數到個10位傷者係有6個係傷勢嚴重，即係屬於紅色情況啦。咁另外4位就係黃色紅色，即係輕微傷勢或者傷勢輕微。咁當時數到10位嗰陣，嗰個傷勢係咪等於呢個説法所講咧？咁同埋之後就呢一個説法就話咧咁。
And the account also claimed from 10 to 7 because 3 of those have been brought away by the police. I would like you to clarify on that. From if 10 to 7 would involve is injured, so why you have miscounted those with serious injuries? Would you like to set that would be an uncommon thing?
咁另外就係問翻警方啦，因為頭先提到就話係港鐵唔俾
So it was mentioned that the MTR CL would not allow those to press into the platform, and yet you can see the riot police
嘅同事就唔可以去月台採訪，就話因為嗰度框咗做一個叫做犯罪現場啦。咁可唔可以都澄清翻呢個
the crime scene? And I want to clarify that. And finally, for MTRCL, the MTRCL sees that the privacy concern is a key factor that's not able to release the footage. As time passes, if you release the footage much later,
程度更加低嘅時候，到時可能出咗條片都唔信，或者質疑有條片係造假嘅話，咁到時點樣挽回公眾嘅信心咧？係咪即係私隱嘅因素就蓋過晒所有嘅其他因素？
all other factors. By the time it would be released, the public wouldn't buy into it, and you should be accountable. By not releasing footage, besides privacy concerns, you don't want to show the police were in action.
多謝呢位傳媒嘅提問。首先喺呢度我想再進一步解釋一下，就係話，當我哋去到現場大量傷者事故嘅時候咧，我哋嘅救護指揮官咧，佢首先係會用一個好快速嘅做法嚟到去評估當時嗰個傷者嘅數目。咁最主要嘅目的咧，就係希望能夠盡快向我哋消防通訊中心咧提供資料。同埋要求增援，咁正正喺呢個太子地鐵站大量傷者事故裏面咧，就係有咁樣嘅做法。咁但係當我哋嗰啲傷者，我哋有一個實質嘅處理，同埋將佢聚集埋一齊嘅時候咧，我哋再重新再評估同埋確定嗰個傷者嘅數目咧，咁我哋嗰個數字上面咧係同當初嗰個評估咧係會有機會有出入嘅。咁正如我哋頭先講咧，就係話喺我哋日常處理大型事故裏面咧，呢個情況係唔係一個罕見嘅情況。咁至於嗰啲傷者嘅傷勢咧，咁其實當我哋做一個初步嘅評估嘅時候咧，
when we perform initial assessment, we would tend to overestimate the severity. Because in this way, we see it as a more secure way. When they claim that we're shortness of breath or have head injuries, we will define them as a serious condition. When after we rendering initial treatment and assessment, their status may change. So before being transported to hospital, their status may be different from the initial assessment. And furthermore, I mentioned, we in contact with the injured, a very common thing is that when in initial contact, they will claim to require to be hospitalized and ambulance services. When after giving them treatment, they will then tell us that they will not need to be hospitalized. And on the contrary, when some of them initially would claim they would not require ambulance services, but later on they would claim they would want to be taken to hospital for treatment. I hope that you can clarify that why in the initial assessment was 10 and eventually the confirmed number of injuries was 7, and why the scale of injuries, there was a discrepancy between initial and the eventual assessment. So that's why it accounts for being 10 to 7. So at the scene, you see there were 10 required ambulance service, and the channel to be 7. Was it what actually happened on that night? Let me clarify again.
Well, the platform was as long as 400 meters. The injured were at different places, and they were also moving around, and they dressed quite alike with each other. So there was an initial assessment. So we cannot rule out the possibility that there was repeat counting in relation to head count. We gave initial attention to the injured, and we gathered them at one single spot, and finally it was confirmed that 7 had to be sent to hospital. Let me add a word here. According to our records, no injured persons were taken away by the police or others while they were being treated by our colleagues. For the fire services department officers and ambulancemen on spot, no FSD personnel saw any seriously injured persons being taken away by the police. You asked this question, that is whether the MTR asked the police to tell the reporters to go away. No, the MTR didn't single out the reporters to tell them to go away. In the light of the conditions there was a broadcast to ask everybody to leave, including the reporters. So it isn't right to say that reporters were singled out. But then at that time, you had colleagues saying that it's a crime scene, so we could only stay in the concourse instead of staying on the platform. So is it a case that the police and the MTR together made the decision, or would it be that only the MTR would not want others to stay there? Well, in a moment, the MTR would add to my answer. Let me finish with mine. Generally speaking, I think if you have been covering any crime at a crime scene, we'll try our best to coordinate to facilitate your reporting work. Well, in the light of what has happened over the past few months, well, it was a case of chaos. There was serious violence. There were 300, 400 protesters digging up the bricks, and they were radically violent. They were damaging the MTR facilities. So it was not an ordinary crime scene. At that time, reporters or other people, their lives may be jeopardized, and therefore we set up the cordon line. And as it has been pointed out, within the Cordon Line, we had to deal with a large number of arrested persons. We had to triage them. We had to attend to the injured persons immediately. The MTR tied in with our work, and in fact, it was believed that people's lives would be jeopardized, and that's why there was an evacuation effort. Yes, let me answer the question as well. The police have already said that at that time at the platform, it was a crime scene being handled by the police. There were also MTR staff members who were aware that the police was handling the situation. In the concourse, we did what we have to do. That is, we maintained order and make sure that the concourse was safe. For the platform, we leave it in the hands of the police. It was said that the MTR should also provide information to the public to clarify the picture. Yes, we understand this and we are aware of your concern, and that's why we have come up with the timeline as well as the screen captures in our press release. Despite the restrictions or limitations of our CCTV system, we still try our best to provide the screen captures for you, having balanced the privacy concern. We are telling you the truth and we are providing the facts to you. We provided the images to you we can facilitate understanding. On the platform, I think you will be aware that the 2 cameras were damaged. Let me once again appeal to the public. When you ride on our system, we have a large number of facilities. Many of them are for the sake of safety and for the sake of operation. Please keep calm and don't carry out any vandalism. Make sure that we keep a safe MTR system to serve the public. Would you agree that you still have to come up with the footage? And the later you provide the footage, the lower the level of confidence in you. We are aware of the public concern, and that's why we have come up with the timeline as well as the captured images. We are limited, but still we have come up with the captured images so that the public would understand the matter better. Of course, there are limitations. As I have said, our system isn't such that we can cover everywhere. Even if we can cover many places, 2 cameras were damaged on that night. All right, that's it for today's press conference. Sorry, speaker was off mic. On platform 4, there were 2 CCTV cameras. Both were damaged. All right, thank you. Thank you for coming.